Plus another day, as I said, another stunt shutting down the Brisbane CBD by this Extinction Rebellion mob. Well, you've heard what I've got to say. Let's hear what my panel says tonight. Joining me now is Sky News digital editor, Mr Jack Horton, and from Brisbane, the country's superglue on the asphalt capital, is national political editor at the Courier-Mail, Renee Viellaris. Got to go to you first, Renee. It's become a bit of a running joke, a very sorry sore on our national polity that day in, day out, usually the same activists are shutting down our third largest city. How are Brisbane commuters coping? Have they had enough?
They had enough a long time ago, and it doesn't feel like a joke to them. And it doesn't feel like a joke to the businesses that are losing productivity, and business day after day when this happens. Because if you think about it, someone might think, I might go and get a coffee. They see a whole heap of protesters out the front and they just turn away and don't go buy that coffee. And you can expand that across a number of businesses in the city, whether it's a news agency, whether it's a clothing shop. The issue is that the state government pretended they were going to take action on this, but they haven't. And the magistrates should start banning these people, these repeat offenders, from the city. They should be banned from being able to come in because they're only coming in for one reason, and that is to stop traffic, to stop people from going to work who pay their taxes. I mean, at some point, this is going to hang around Anastasia Palaszczuk's neck.
Yeah, we know that Anastasia Palaszczuk said that she would bring in laws in relation to these activists. She said that a number of weeks ago. I made the point in my editorial. I mean, they've got the majority in the parliament. There is no upper house to obstruct. Why aren't these ideas law already?
They are. They have progressed some very watery kind of draft laws that would that look at prescribed instruments that would be banned from use. But what we saw in Bowen yesterday, and that is obviously close to Abbott Point, was people locking themselves in pipes with cement, and in the cement were almost like booby traps. So when the police cut them open, it injured the police. And this seems to be an escalation, an activity by protesters who now aren't like, the normal protesters who don't try to injure and maim police, but who are upping the ante on an issue that the community has had a gutful of.
Yeah, now you looked into the issue too, Renee, that a lot of these people are on government benefits. They're not employed, some are. There's one celebrated case where the guy's got a bit of coin in his pocket, so he's happy to pay for all the fines. But what can be done there? Are there calls for the federal or state governments to get involved and somehow, make the fines meaningful? Because if taxpayers are paying them the dole in the hope that they'll be out there looking for work, if they're protesting and not looking for work, how can they still get Newstart?
Well, it's a good question, and Centrelink should be looking at the people who are going through court and determining how they're meeting their mutual obligation. So if you're constantly protesting or you're camping in Bowen, and that's all you're doing, camping, you're not leaving there, you're there for weeks at a time, how are you applying for the jobs that you're supposed to be applying for? How are you meeting your training obligations? I mean, you can't be. So at some point, it's time that you were booted off Newstart and you're put basically like Warren Entsch wants. He wants those people on a basics card to help prevent them from spending their time and money on fuel or other issues that they use or other means to protest.